Okay, so if you haven't seen it, last video was my first sort of like short film. It was very short, it was only like 2 minutes. It's called The Trap. Just a little idea that I had vaguely based off, personal experience. And yeah, it was just sort of the first like commercial passion project I've done. It was just purely narrative. Before we go into the visuals, I'm going to really quickly touch on the sound. Now, all the sound was just recorded, internally in the camera. I use my Rode Wireless Pro with the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus. This one, because I didn't want to have to deal with using the XLR handle on the A7 IV, because I did shoot on the A7 IV. So I just used the 3.5mm input on the A7 IV with the Rode Wireless Pro, and then I plugged this into that. And I just had that on actually the boom pole that I'm using now. That is not a proper boom pole, so, it looked a little bit goofy and it didn't work the best, but it worked well enough. But I feel like the sound effects that we captured isn't really what brings the whole thing together. What brought the whole thing together was the music, and the music was from MusicBed. I don't really like scrolling through trying to find songs or sound effects or anything like that. That's not really my jam. But I did find these two songs. I was like, oh yeah, that could work. I tried them both individually and I didn't think it had the right sort of vibe. So I ended up licensing both the songs from MusicBed, and I feel like it worked reasonably well, and that change sort of makes sense narratively. So if you haven't heard of MusicBed before, it's basically a music licensing platform. It's not royalty-free music, which is a good thing, they say. So basically you have a subscription and you can license music with that subscription. So you don't have to pay extra, because all the licenses are just included in your subscription, and you can get all this music licensed, so then the artist would get paid properly and everything like that. And then if you have any issues with like YouTube monetization sort of thing, there's literally like an ID code sort of thing that you can put into YouTube, so then you can be monetized and all that stuff. So very, really good for like client projects or YouTube, especially stuff like this. The music in the background right now is from MusicBed. So if you are interested, please go check out the link in the description. That is an affiliate link. It does help me as well if you do sign up or even license a single song. If you use that link, it does support me. So I appreciate that if you do. Now, I shot this entire project on the Sony a7 IV and the Nisi Athena 50mm t1.9. And the reason that I sort of shot, or even the reason that I wrote this project, was because I knew that the Athena 50mm was coming, because I did that sponsored video with Nisi for the Swift system ages ago, and then I knew I was getting the Athena. So while I was waiting for the Athena to arrive, I had this idea. I wrote it all out, and I was like, I want to shoot a whole project on just a 50mm lens. So when I did get it and had used it a little bit, decided to throw it on the a7 IV, and yeah, just shot everything on the 50mm Athena. I did use the Nisi 1/4 black mist as well. My idea was to take it off at one point to sort of show a little bit of a change, but then I kind of forgot to do it, so we'll just ignore that. Anyway, now onto my overall thoughts of the project as a whole. Now, how this came about was I just sort of had the idea, and I just like wrote down a really, really rough outline of what I wanted. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's another sort of passion project thing that I can do, similar to the spec ads that I've done in the past. And then basically at another point, I just sort of wrote out basically a shot list. Because there's no dialogue or anything, I didn't bother writing a script or anything. I just sort of wrote a shot list of all the things that visually I wanted. And I was fully prepared to just shoot that as it was. And I just had my friend Kelrick, who's been in videos before, he came over to like sort of star in it. And then my housemates were the rest of the crew. We missed a few shots that I had planned that I wanted to do that would have just taken too long. That leads me into the biggest issue that I think that I came about, is it just took way longer than I expected. I thought we could shoot the whole thing in a couple hours easy, but I think we were shooting for like 3 hours and we didn't get a bunch of the stuff that I wanted to shoot. We just dealt with not having it. So there was some sort of specialty shots, like an overhead shot with the camera attached to the door, but also narratively that maybe would have taken away from that opening shot that you can see here. I think it helps just it being a one shot sort of slow thing. So didn't shoot that, didn't shoot some of the like B-roll pickup insert shots sort of thing. But I think it worked okay. And I probably mentioned this before, but editing is not the thing that I enjoy. So like I much prefer the actual shooting of everything. And then I get into the edit and I'm like, I'll edit for a bit. And then I'm like, I don't feel like editing anymore. And then I'll sort of like almost give up on a project. Not give up, but like I'll just have to shelve it for a while, which is sort of what I did here. I got most of it there, had both the tracks in, but hadn't figured out like how I was going to do the music. And then I just sort of left it for like 2 weeks. And then now the other day I was just like, I need to finish this. So sat down, did what I need to do with the music and like, you know, changing the volume, sound effects and all that sort of stuff. And cut up some of the longer clips that didn't need to be so long. And then actually a really late thing was deciding on the color grade. I shot this with warm lights, like the light that I've got in the back. Like most of my lights were pretty warm because we just used actual like practical lights in the environment in the house. And then when I did use my Amaran 300C, which I'm using with my key light right now, when we did use that, I actually set it to 3000 Kelvin. So it was sort of a similar temperature to those lights that are just in the house. So my intention was for it to look very just sort of natural. These are just house lights that we're using. But then I decided to just try something, and kind of like Joker vibes went with the green, and some of the shots just looked really good with that green. So I went with it, and I feel like it fits the tone pretty well as well, having that green to it rather than the warmth. The color grade was a really late addition, but I think it worked pretty well. And yeah, that's my overall thoughts. What do you think? If you haven't seen it, again, go watch it, come back, let me know in the comments of that video or this video. Let me know what you think. Any feedback is welcome, because like this, again, this is my first like self-produced like little short film sort of thing. Literally today though, I'm going to work on like another short film that isn't mine, which is good because I'm not a writer or director. I don't want to have to do all that stuff. That was another thing that I noticed with this shoot is everybody had multiple roles, and especially me, like I don't want to have a bunch of different roles. I don't want to have to direct. I don't want to have to write, but I did. So I think it would turn out better if we had someone like, you know, who wrote it and it's their idea and they can direct it, or someone else can direct it. And then I can just worry about the visuals, which is sort of what I want to do. I want to DP or operate, and that's about it. But I kind of had to do other roles as well. So did everybody else involved, had to do multiple roles. So it's not ideal because it's a super small crew, literally no budget. And now just sort of a breakdown of how I did most of the lighting. Lighting was very simple for this. Literally, I only use my Amaran 300C and my Aputure MT Pro. I use those two lights, rarely even use them both at once. This one was really just actually for the TV effect, and you can see it actually for a second in the reflection of his glasses when he's sitting at the TV, because I set the TV effect on this. This has like a TV effect where it flashes like a TV would, or I use this if I couldn't fit the 300C somewhere. So for like the opening shot, for example, when the car drives in, that little fun fact, that was actually me driving the car. But then when he walks in the door, I had the Aputure MT Pro up behind him just to give him a little bit of a backlight when he walks in. And that's just sort of motivated by the light that's actually there. So I just wanted it a little bit brighter and a little bit closer. And then when he's like, for example, when he throws the shirt onto the camera, that is the light in the background, kind of like how I have here, just like the light in the bathroom behind. And then the Amaran 300C I actually had out the door, which you couldn't see in the shot, but I had it set to like sort of like a faker moonlight sort of thing. So I had it like kind of cool and up high, and I feel like it worked reasonably well. But the biggest part of the whole thing was like downstairs in the kitchen and the living room. So basically to light all the kitchen shots, we had the range hood light on. So above the stove, that light was on. And then there's actually these sort of fixtures above the bench, which we also had on. And then basically if we needed any more light, this just went like in the little cupboard next to the range hood to give more of a directed, like, you know, backlight, sort of like how I've got here with a bit of a hair light or a rim light. And that was basically it for the kitchen ones. And then for the like living room stuff, when he's like on the couch, I literally just took my Amaran 300C, put it behind a shower curtain that was hung up on my C-stand, just so it was a big, very diffused light, and then just set it for like 3000 Kelvin, shined it through the shower curtain just to be a big wash of light coming vaguely from the kitchen because it makes sense that's where the light would be coming from. And that was pretty much it. Like, there wasn't much else when it comes to lighting. Let me know if you want like a proper like scene breakdown or anything like that of the lighting. Might do that. Otherwise, more videos coming soon. But yeah, that's it for this one. Again, let me know what you think of the film itself. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It'll be at the end of this video and linked in the description. Also check out my review of the Nisi Athena 50mm because that's what I shot the entire project on. And what do you think of the 2.35:1 ratio? Like, I kind of like it. This is also at T1 1.9 right now, so it's also really hard to stay still so I'm in focus, because normally I'd be moving a lot because I have autofocus, but now I don't have autofocus, so yeah. But I think this shot looks pretty good. Anyway, do the other things. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye. Oh, go check out MusicBed as well. MusicBed, other videos. Okay, bye.